The sun dipped low behind the distant mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Kai stepped off the small transport shuttle and onto the wooden dock that stretched over the calm lake. He had never seen a place so quiet. The settlement was small, built with neat rows of low, domed houses that glimmered softly in the fading sunlight. People waved at him from the docks, friendly faces smiling, but there was something strange about the old boathouse at the far edge of the lake. Its wood was weathered and dark, the paint peeling in long strips. Unlike the bright, modern buildings around it, the boathouse seemed forgotten by time. Kai carried his small backpack and tools, his boots clicking softly on the wooden planks. He had come here to check on the hydro energy system that powered the settlement. It was routine work, or so he thought. The lake stretched wide, reflecting the first stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. The air smelled of wetwood and water lilies, and Kai felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. As he walked closer to the boathouse, a soft sound reached his ears. It was almost like a hum, faint but steady, coming from inside the building. He stopped for a moment, listening. The other settlers were busy unloading supplies and paying him little attention. Maybe it's just the wind, he told himself. But curiosity tugged at him. He had always been drawn to old, forgotten places. Kai pushed open the creaking door of the boathouse. Dust floated in the air, catching the last rays of sunlight. The smell of damp wood and water rose from the floorboards. Inside, the room was empty except for a few small boats stacked against the walls. But as he stepped further in, he saw it, a faint glow coming from the far corner, reflecting off the water pooling near the edge of the boathouse. His heart quickened. The glow pulsed gently, like it was breathing. Kai approached slowly, each step careful on the slippery floor. As he drew nearer, he realized it was not a fire or a light bulb. It was something else entirely, a strange, oval-shaped vessel, partially submerged in water, shimmering with soft blue and green lights. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its surface rippled slightly, like liquid glass, and it seemed almost alive. Kai knelt by the edge, reaching out to touch it. The moment his fingers brushed the cool surface, the glow spread across the room, filling every corner with soft, shifting colors. Images flashed before his eyes: stars, planets, and strange alien landscapes that seemed impossibly far away. He stumbled back, awe and fear mixing in his chest. Was it a dream? A trick of the mind? The vessel seemed to respond to him. The colors shifted when he moved, forming patterns and shapes he could not understand. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Instead, the vessel pulsed again, slower this time, as if waiting for him to make a choice. Kai realized he was not just looking at an object. It was watching him too, sensing his presence. Outside, the sky grew darker, and the lake reflected the first stars clearly. A soft breeze passed through the open door, carrying the distant sounds of water lapping against the dock. Kai knew he should leave, report the discovery, and return with help. But something in him resisted. The boathouse, the vessel, and the quiet lake seemed to call to him, promising answers he could not yet understand. He sat down on the damp floor, leaning against a wooden post. The hum of the vessel filled the space, steady and calming. Memories of his childhood in a noisy city came back: the endless traffic, the lights, the crowds. Here, there was silence, but also a strange energy that made him feel alive in a way he had never known. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt different here. Kai reached out again, and the vessel's glow responded, brighter this time, swirling in beautiful, complicated patterns. He realized it was not dangerous, not yet at least. It was waiting, learning, or maybe trying to communicate. Kai smiled to himself. He did not know what this vessel was, or why it was here, but he knew one thing: his life had changed the moment he stepped into the boathouse. The quiet night outside promised mysteries, and Kai was ready to explore them. As the stars reflected on the still water, he whispered, "I'll come back tomorrow." And with that, he left the boathouse, the glow dimming behind him, leaving only the soft hum in the darkness. The next morning, Kai woke to the soft light of dawn spilling through his small cabin window. He could hear birds singing and the gentle lapping of water against the dock. Yet, his mind was not on the calm lake or the settlement around him. It was on the boathouse and the strange glowing vessel he had discovered the night before. Every time he closed his eyes, he could see its rippling surface and the patterns of light that seemed almost alive. After a quick breakfast, Kai grabbed his backpack and headed back to the boathouse. The village was slowly waking, children laughed as they ran along the docks, and workers carried supplies to the energy systems he was supposed to inspect. But Kai barely noticed them. His heart beat faster as he approached the old building. The air smelled of wet wood and water, and a light breeze rustled through the nearby trees. Pushing open the creaking door, Kai froze for a moment. The glow from the vessel was faint but steady, reflecting in the water pooled across the floor. As he stepped closer, he noticed something new. Small symbols appeared on the surface, like tiny constellations of light. They shifted and changed whenever he moved his hand nearby. It was as if the vessel recognized him. Kai knelt beside it, reaching out slowly. The glow brightened instantly, spreading across the boathouse in waves of green and blue. He could see faint images inside the light cities, alien landscapes, strange flying objects. They were unlike anything he had ever seen, yet there was a sense of order, a pattern that his mind wanted to understand. He tried touching the images. The moment his fingers brushed the shimmering light, the patterns shifted into simpler forms, lines and shapes that seemed to respond to his movements. Kai realized that the vessel was not just glowing. It was communicating in a language of light. Excited, Kai stood back and looked around. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the vessel and the occasional drip of water from the roof. He experimented carefully, waving his hand, tapping lightly, even speaking to it. Though it did not reply with words, the light moved faster when he made certain gestures. It was learning, or maybe testing him. Hours passed as Kai explored the vessel's responses. He discovered that when he moved slowly, the patterns became calm and steady. When he moved quickly or tapped the water, the patterns swirled chaotically. He realized he could guide the glow, control it in small ways. It felt like learning to play a strange, beautiful instrument, one that had never been touched by human hands before. Suddenly, a new image appeared. Kai leaned closer, eyes wide. It was a planet, blue and green, with rivers and mountains. Then another, an alien city with tall, shining towers that seemed to float above the ground. The vessel was showing him places far from Earth, but they seemed familiar somehow, as if it was drawing comparisons between them and his own world. Kai felt a rush of awe. If this vessel was alien, it had been observing the universe for a long time. Perhaps it had watched other civilizations rise and fall. And now, somehow, it had chosen to show him its knowledge. The realization made him feel both small and extraordinary at the same time. As the sun climbed higher, Kai noticed movement outside. Birds circled the lake in strange patterns, and fish leaped unusually high, almost as if responding to the vessel's energy. He wondered if the glowing object was affecting the world around it. He reached out and touched the vessel again, and the patterns of light seemed to hum in harmony with the natural movements outside. Kai stepped back and thought carefully. This was not just an object. It was a key, an instrument of knowledge and power. He could sense its intelligence, its curiosity, and perhaps its trust in him. For the first time in his life, Kai felt a responsibility heavier than any work he had done before. He needed to understand it, protect it, and learn from it. As evening approached, Kai reluctantly left the boathouse. He glanced back at the glowing vessel, now dimming slightly as the sun set, and whispered, "Tomorrow, I'll come back. I promise I'll try to understand you." He walked back to his cabin, heart racing and mind full of questions. The boathouse had changed everything for him. It was no longer just an old, forgotten building at the edge of the lake. It was a doorway to knowledge, to discovery, and perhaps even to the future of humanity. That night, as Kai lay in bed, he imagined the alien cities and the glowing patterns. He could not sleep, his mind replaying the hum of the vessel and the images it had shared. Something told him that this was only the beginning and that the nights in the boathouse would soon hold secrets far beyond what he could imagine. The night was darker than usual. A thin mist rose from the lake, curling around the wooden posts of the dock. Kai carried a small lantern as he walked toward the boathouse, his heart pounding with anticipation. The glow from the vessel had haunted his thoughts all day. He could barely focus on his other work in the settlement. Something told him that tonight, the vessel would reveal more than ever before. As he pushed open the old door, the familiar hum greeted him, stronger than he remembered. The vessel floated slightly above the water, its surface shimmering in bright blues and greens. It pulsed gently, almost like it was breathing. Kai took a cautious step closer, noticing that the water around it rippled without wind or movement. He knelt beside it and extended his hand, touching the smooth surface. Immediately, the vessel reacted. Light shot up in patterns that seemed faster and sharper than before. Kai blinked. This was different. The glow spread beyond the boathouse, and the faint hum became a low, vibrating sound that Kai could feel in his chest. Suddenly, the images appeared again, alien landscapes, cities, and stars, but this time, they were moving, animated, as if alive. Kai could see strange beings walking through the alien cities, their forms unfamiliar yet purposeful. The vessel seemed to be showing him life in other parts of the universe, not just still images. Kai whispered, "Are you alive?" The vessel pulsed again in response, and the light patterns swirled around him like tiny sparks of energy. He realized it was not just showing things. It was aware of him, watching his reactions and adjusting what it revealed. For the first time, Kai tried to communicate. He tapped the water gently and waved his hand in simple patterns, hoping to get a response. The vessel's glow shifted in ways that mirrored his gestures, almost like it was learning his motions. Excitement and wonder filled Kai. Could it understand him? Could he truly communicate with something not from this world? Then, the vessel pulsed strongly, sending a wave of energy across the boathouse. The water rose slightly, forming gentle arcs, and the reflections of the light danced on the walls. Kai had to step back to avoid falling. It was powerful, but not threatening. He realized that the vessel was testing him, or maybe showing him its full potential. Outside, strange signs appeared. Fish jumped higher, their movements synchronized with the pulses of light. Birds circled above the boathouse in precise patterns, almost like they were part of the vessel's energy. Kai's mind raced. The vessel could affect the world around it. It was not just a display of images, it was alive, interacting with its environment in ways he had never imagined. Kai spent hours experimenting, moving his hands in patterns, tapping the water, and speaking softly. Each time, the vessel responded, its glow brightening or swirling in intricate designs. He began to see that the light patterns formed shapes resembling letters and symbols. Perhaps it was a language of light, one he could learn if he stayed patient. As the hours passed, Kai noticed that the vessel's energy calmed the boathouse. The rippling water slowed, and the glow settled into steady waves. It was as if the vessel had become comfortable with his presence, recognizing him as a friend rather than an intruder. Kai felt a deep connection, forming a bond of trust between human and machine, or perhaps human and intelligence beyond Earth. At one point, the vessel projected a new image, a small star system, with a single blue planet glowing in the center. Kai could see continents, oceans, and clouds moving over the surface. A soft pulse of light seemed to indicate a message, perhaps a warning or a lesson. Kai studied the patterns carefully, realizing that the vessel was trying to share knowledge about other worlds. The night grew late, and Kai knew he had to leave before anyone noticed his absence. He reluctantly withdrew his hand, but the glow remained, steady and calm. He whispered, "I'll come back. I want to understand you." As he stepped out of the boathouse, the mist had thickened over the lake, and the stars reflected faintly on the water. Kai felt different, more alive, more aware. He understood now that the vessel was more than an object. It was an intelligence, ancient and patient, waiting for someone to notice it. And tonight, it had awakened a spark in him, a spark of curiosity, courage, and hope. Kai walked back to his cabin with a careful, quiet step. The world outside seemed sharper, brighter, and full of possibilities. The nights in the boathouse would never be the same, and neither would he. The morning air was crisp as Kai made his way to the boathouse. The lake reflected the early sunlight like a giant mirror, smooth and calm. His steps on the dock echoed softly, but inside, the boathouse awaited him with the familiar hum of the glowing vessel. He could already feel the energy pulsing through the wooden floorboards, waiting for him to return. Kai knelt beside the vessel, studying its shifting lights. Over the past nights, he had learned that small gestures affected its patterns, but he wanted more. He wanted answers. Slowly, he moved his hands in deliberate patterns, tracing shapes in the air above the water. The vessel responded immediately, the glow forming lines and shapes that seemed more organized than before. It was as if it was trying to teach him a language. He tapped gently, then waved his hands in simple motions up, down, side to side. Each motion was mirrored in the vessel's glow. Kai realized he could guide the light, shaping patterns that resembled symbols. His heart raced. Could this be the beginning of real communication? After hours of careful trial and error, Kai noticed something extraordinary. When he moved his hand in a circle, the vessel projected images of planets orbiting their stars. When he tapped lightly, it showed alien cities, with structures unlike anything humans had built. Slowly, he understood, the vessel was sharing information about its creators and their observations of other civilizations. Kai whispered, "Who are you?" The vessel pulsed brightly in response, sending a pattern of lights that seemed to mimic his words. Kai studied the sequence, realizing it had a rhythm, a structure. He began repeating small gestures, asking simple questions, and watching for the vessel's answers. With patience, he discovered that the lights could convey ideas, locations, concepts, even emotions. Over the next few nights, Kai's understanding grew. The vessel revealed stories of its creators, an advanced civilization that had traveled the stars long before humanity existed. They had watched planets evolve, recording the rise and fall of life, studying intelligence and the choices that shaped civilizations. The vessel itself had been left behind on Earth as a guide, waiting for humans who could understand its knowledge. Kai felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. He realized that humans were being observed, evaluated, and perhaps even trusted. The vessel showed images of Earth from space, highlighting human achievements, cities, machines, exploration, and moments of kindness and cooperation. It also displayed warnings, examples of civilizations destroyed by their own mistakes or by outside threats. Kai understood that the vessel was teaching him a lesson: humanity's future was not guaranteed, but it could be guided by knowledge and wisdom. One night, the vessel projected something new. Strange shapes, like drones or machines, appeared near alien worlds. They moved with purpose, scanning, recording, and sometimes destroying. The vessel's glow pulsed with urgency, and Kai felt a chill. It was warning him. Something was coming, and humans could be in danger if they were not careful. Kai leaned back, absorbing the weight of the lesson. The vessel was showing him that knowledge alone was not enough. Humans would need courage, creativity, and cooperation to survive and grow. For the first time, he felt that his small actions mattered on a larger scale. The boathouse was no longer just a quiet place by the lake, it was a classroom, a place where humanity's future could be shaped. The vessel's lights shifted gently as if sensing Kai's thoughts. He reached out and touched its surface, feeling warmth instead of cold. A message passed through the glow, not words, but understanding. Kai realized that the vessel was not only observing him, it was forming a bond, trusting him to carry forward what it had to teach. Days passed, and Kai returned each night, learning to ask questions and interpret the vessel's responses. He began writing notes, drawing symbols, and tracking the sequences of light. The communication grew richer with each visit. The vessel seemed to recognize his effort, displaying more complex images and stories. Kai learned about energy sources, star systems, and the delicate balance needed to maintain life and growth. For the first time, Kai felt the weight of human potential in his hands. He understood that humans could innovate, survive, and achieve greatness, but only if they learned from both mistakes and successes like the civilizations the vessel had studied. And somehow, the vessel had chosen him to be the first to learn these lessons. As the night deepened, Kai stood by the edge of the water, watching the soft glow ripple across the boathouse. He whispered softly, "I will try to understand everything you want to teach me." The vessel pulsed brighter, a silent agreement shining in its light. The bond between human and intelligence was growing, stronger than Kai had ever imagined. Outside, the lake remained calm, reflecting the first stars of the evening. The world seemed ordinary to anyone who walked by, but Kai knew that inside the boathouse, the future of humanity was quietly unfolding, guided by knowledge, trust, and the light of an intelligence far beyond his own. Kai had begun to feel at home in the boathouse. The vessel's glow had become familiar, like a quiet friend waiting for him at the edge of the lake. He had learned to communicate in small ways, to understand some of the images and symbols, and each night left him with new knowledge about the universe. Yet, he could not shake the feeling that something was coming. It started with small signs. Birds that usually sang at dusk flew silently above the lake. Fish jumped higher than usual, almost as if alarmed. The air felt different, heavier, charged with a strange energy. Kai noticed these changes as he approached the boathouse one evening. The vessel was already glowing, but the pattern was uneven, flickering like a warning signal. Kai knelt beside it, running his fingers over the smooth surface. The lights pulsed in a rapid sequence he had never seen before. He recognized it immediately. This was not a lesson or a story. This was a signal of danger. His heart pounded. For the first time, the boathouse felt vulnerable. Then he saw them. From the far edge of the lake, small drones emerged, hovering silently above the water. They were sleek and metallic, with faint blue lights scanning the area. Kai's eyes widened. The vessel pulsed in urgency. It was alerting him, warning him that these machines were not friendly. He had no doubt now these were not creatures from the settlement. They were something else, something that had come from outside Earth. Kai's mind raced. He had learned a lot from the vessel, but he had never prepared for a real threat. He looked around the boathouse for anything he could use. Wooden planks, ropes, barrels all seemed ordinary, yet he knew he had to act quickly. The drones hovered closer, scanning the water and the structure. Their lights probed every corner of the boathouse, seeking the vessel's energy. Thinking fast, Kai grabbed a length of rope and tied it between two posts near the edge of the dock. He then lifted a barrel, filling it with water and setting it as a distraction. When the drones scanned the area again, the reflected light on the water confused their sensors. They paused, and Kai saw a chance. He ran inside the boathouse, moving closer to the vessel. The glow pulsed brightly as he reached it, and he realized he could use it defensively. By focusing his hands and gestures, he amplified the vessel's energy, sending waves of light across the room. The drones faltered, their movements jerky, as if unable to process the sudden pulse. Kai's heart raced, but he kept control, guiding the energy carefully so it did not damage the boathouse itself. One of the drones swooped closer, scanning Kai directly. He ducked and waved his hand, directing the vessel's light at it. The drone faltered and retreated, then the others followed. For a moment, the lake was silent again, save for the vessel's steady hum. Kai exhaled, relief and adrenaline mixing in his chest. He realized the truth: the drones had come for the vessel, attracted by its energy. They were not here to harm him, but to capture or study the intelligence it contained. Humanity had unknowingly become part of something much larger. The vessel had trusted him to protect it, and he could not fail. As the night wore on, Kai reinforced the boathouse, using ropes and planks to hide the vessel's exact location. He guided its energy to mask its presence, sending smaller pulses to the surrounding water and mist to confuse any sensors. Hours passed before the drones finally withdrew, retreating silently into the darkness. Kai sank to the floor, exhausted but determined. The vessel pulsed softly, as if acknowledging his efforts. Kai understood now that this was more than a discovery or a lesson. It was a responsibility. Humans, with their curiosity, courage, and ingenuity, could rise to challenges no one else could. He had used his wits, his understanding of the vessel, and his quick thinking to protect something far greater than himself. He stayed with the vessel until dawn, keeping watch. Outside, the lake reflected the first light of morning, calm and serene. The threat had passed, for now, but Kai knew it could return. The drones were clever, persistent, and capable of tracking energy across vast distances. Humanity had drawn attention without even knowing it, and Kai had a duty to safeguard what had been entrusted to him. As he stepped out of the boathouse at sunrise, Kai felt a strange mix of fear and pride. The vessel had shown him wonders beyond imagination, but it had also revealed the dangers of the wider universe. He now understood that knowledge came with responsibility, and courage was not just about facing the unknown, it was about protecting what mattered most. Kai glanced back at the boathouse, its glow dim in the early light, and whispered, "We'll be ready next time." And with that, he walked back to the settlement, carrying with him the lessons of the night, the weight of responsibility, and the first true sense that humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, could face challenges that no one else could. The night air was cool and still, and the lake shimmered under the bright moon. Kai approached the boathouse with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. The events of the previous nights weighed on his mind: the glowing vessel, the strange drones, and the knowledge that humans were being watched. But tonight felt different. He was not just a visitor or a student anymore, he was a guardian, and the bond he shared with the vessel had grown stronger. Inside the boathouse, the vessel pulsed softly, as if sensing his arrival. Kai knelt beside it, running his fingers lightly over the smooth, glowing surface. The patterns of light responded immediately, forming shapes that he now understood better than ever. It was no longer a mystery, this was a form of communication, a silent conversation between human and intelligence. Kai began experimenting with more deliberate gestures. He moved his hands in wide arcs above the water, traced circles on the floor, and tapped in rhythmic patterns. The vessel responded with complex sequences of light, showing images of energy flows, force fields, and ways to manipulate the environment. Kai realized it could help him defend the boathouse and the vessel more effectively if danger returned. For hours, he practiced. Each movement caused the vessel to produce waves of energy, small at first, then growing stronger and more controlled. Kai learned to focus the energy, directing it without causing damage to the boathouse or the surrounding lake. It was like learning a new skill, part science, part instinct, and the vessel guided him patiently, responding to his growing understanding. At one point, the vessel projected a new sequence, a star system, with a planet orbiting close to its sun. Strange ships appeared around the planet, moving quickly, scanning and probing. Kai understood immediately this was a warning, a lesson in strategy and preparation. The vessel was showing him not just how to protect it, but how to anticipate threats, how to act before danger arrived. Kai's mind raced with possibilities. If the drones returned, he could use the vessel's energy in combination with clever traps and the natural environment. He could use reflection, water, and light to confuse sensors, create decoys, and defend the vessel without direct confrontation. The humans in the settlement were unaware of the danger, but he knew they could be taught, gradually, to help protect what was important. He spent the night devising simple but effective strategies. He tied ropes across the dock to form barriers, placed barrels and crates to redirect movement, and even experimented with reflective surfaces to amplify the vessel's light. Each time he tested a method, the vessel responded, pulsing in encouragement and refining the energy patterns. By dawn, Kai had a plan, a combination of human ingenuity and the vessel's advanced energy that could repel any intruder. Exhausted but satisfied, Kai leaned against the boathouse wall and watched the glowing vessel. Its light had become softer now, calm and steady, as if acknowledging his progress. For the first time, Kai felt a true partnership. The vessel was no longer a mysterious observer, it was an ally. Together, they could face the challenges that lay ahead. Outside, the lake reflected the rising sun. Kai could see the settlement waking up, people moving about without knowing the quiet battle he had prepared for. He smiled to himself. Humanity had potential, he thought, far greater than they realized. If humans combined courage, intelligence, and resourcefulness with guidance from something extraordinary, they could overcome even the greatest dangers. Kai left the boathouse that morning with a new sense of confidence. He had learned how to communicate with the vessel, how to understand its energy, and how to use it to protect both the artifact and the settlement. The knights had taught him patience, observation, and the value of collaboration. And he knew one important truth: humans were capable of incredible things when they faced the unknown together. That evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains and the lake turned silver under the moonlight, Kai returned to the boathouse. He knelt beside the vessel and touched its surface. A pulse of light spread through the room, almost like a greeting. Kai smiled and whispered, "We are ready. Whatever comes, we will face it together." The vessel responded with a bright, steady glow, signaling understanding. The bond was complete. Kai realized that he had not only formed an alliance with the vessel, but he had also unlocked something deeper within himself: courage, ingenuity, and a sense of purpose. The nights in the boathouse were no longer quiet, they were alive with possibility, knowledge, and hope for the future. And as Kai looked out over the lake, he felt certain of one thing: the coming days would test them both, but with trust, patience, and determination, humanity could rise to meet the challenges of a universe far bigger than they had ever imagined. The night was quiet, but Kai could feel the tension in the air. The lake shimmered under the moonlight, the boathouse standing still at its edge. After weeks of discovery, communication, and preparation, Kai knew something was about to happen. The vessel pulsed gently, as if aware of the night's importance. It had guided him, taught him, and trusted him. Now, it was time for the next step: the future. Kai approached the vessel, running his hands over its smooth surface. The glow was brighter than usual, sending ripples of light across the water. For a moment, he remembered the first night he had entered the boathouse, full of curiosity and fear. Now, he felt something different: confidence, purpose, and a deep bond with the vessel. Together, they had faced danger, learned to communicate, and prepared for the unknown. Suddenly, the vessel pulsed strongly, and images appeared in the glowing patterns. Kai recognized them immediately: drones approaching from far across the lake, scanning for energy. This was the real test. He had spent nights preparing for this moment, and now he had to act. Kai took a deep breath and focused. He guided the vessel's energy with deliberate motions, sending waves of light outward. The water around the boathouse rippled, and the reflections confused the drone's sensors. Using the barriers, ropes, and reflective surfaces he had prepared, Kai amplified the vessel's energy, creating illusions of movement and false targets. The drones faltered, their scanning patterns disrupted. One drone moved closer, hovering near the boathouse. Kai extended his hand, directing the vessel's energy precisely. Light surged in a controlled wave, pushing the drone back without damaging it. He felt a thrill of triumph. The combination of human skill and alien technology was working perfectly. One by one, the other drones retreated, scanning in confusion, until the lake was calm again. Kai sank to the floor, breathing heavily but smiling. The vessel's glow became steady, warm, and comforting. It had trusted him, and he had protected it. More than that, he realized something even greater: humans had potential. With courage, intelligence, and cooperation, they could face dangers far beyond their world. Humanity could grow, learn, and thrive in ways no one had imagined. The vessel projected one final image: a vision of Earth from space. Cities glimmered, oceans shimmered, and life moved in harmony. Then, the view shifted to distant stars, showing other worlds where intelligence thrived. Kai understood the message: humans were not alone, but their journey was only beginning. The vessel had chosen him to be the first to learn, to guide, and to protect this knowledge. Kai touched the vessel gently, feeling a connection deeper than words could express. "I will continue," he whispered. I will learn, I will protect, and I will help others understand. The vessel pulsed in agreement, a silent promise of guidance and support. Over the following days, Kai began teaching others in the settlement, slowly introducing them to the boathouse secrets and the lessons of the vessel. They learned to respect its energy, to follow simple patterns, and to observe carefully. The settlement grew stronger, not just in knowledge but in unity. People worked together, guided by curiosity and courage. They realized that their creativity and determination could shape a better future. At night, Kai would sit by the vessel, watching the soft glow ripple across the water. It had become a mentor, a teacher, and a friend. Together, they continued to explore the patterns of light, the knowledge of the universe, and the possibilities for humanity. The nights in the boathouse were no longer silent or lonely, they were alive with learning, hope, and discovery. Years passed, and Kai remained at the boathouse, guarding the vessel and sharing its lessons. He saw the settlement grow, its people innovating, exploring, and thriving. The vessel remained a quiet presence, observing, guiding, and inspiring. Kai often thought about the first night, when fear and curiosity had drawn him inside. He smiled, realizing that courage, curiosity, and determination had brought him here to a place where humans and intelligence from beyond the stars worked together for the future. One evening, as the sun set and the lake glimmered like liquid gold, Kai whispered to the vessel, "We've done well. Together, we've begun something new." The vessel pulsed warmly in response, and Kai felt a deep sense of peace. Humanity had potential beyond imagination, and the boathouse, once quiet and forgotten, had become a symbol of hope, knowledge, and courage. The stars reflected in the water, bright and endless, reminding Kai that the universe was vast, full of mysteries and possibilities. And he knew that as long as humans held on to curiosity, courage, and ingenuity, they could face any challenge, learn from the unknown, and shape their own destiny. The nights in the boathouse continued, filled with light, knowledge, and the quiet hum of the vessel. Kai had become more than a guardian, he had become part of a legacy, one that would inspire humans for generations to come. The vessel's glow shimmered softly, a promise that discovery, wonder, and the human spirit would never fade. And so, under the calm reflection of the lake and the endless stars above, Kai stood by the boathouse, ready for whatever the future held, knowing that humanity could rise to meet it with courage, intelligence, and heart.